Souls of Sports. Chapter 1. Through the collector's lens, basketball has always been a part of my life. And I don't mean just watching games on TV or keeping up with stats. I mean really feeling the game. The stories, the struggle, the overlooked talent that rises through grit and determination. But over time, my connection to the game evolved. In 2017, I picked up a new habit that slowly became something deeper. Collecting basketball cards. First, I was drawn in by the excitement of opening packs, the thrill of pulling a rare card, or maybe even a signed rookie if luck was on my side. But that initial adrenaline faded. The hobby became more than just collecting pieces of cardboard. It became a spiritual experience. When you collect cards, you're collecting possibility. You're betting on the future of a player. Every rookie card I placed in a top loader felt like I was saying, I believe in this one. That's where Tyrese Haliburton comes into the picture. Let me be clear, Tyrese isn't on my personal basketball Mount Rushmore. That space is reserved for LeBron James. Those four represent something unique to me. LeBron is legacy and consistency. They're in a different category, a different emotional weight class for me. But Tyrese Haliburton has earned a chapter in the story I've been following since 2017. He represents the newer generation of stars, those I've watched closely since I began collecting. When his rookie cards came out, there was a quiet buzz around him. He didn't have the hype of a Zion Williamson or the attention of a LaMelo Ball, but there was something different there. His game spoke for itself. His presence was undeniable, even if his form was unorthodox, and that jump shot. It's one of the first things people notice. It's not pretty by traditional standards. It's a little awkward, a little outside the textbook. But I've seen players succeed with unorthodox forms before. Sean Marion had one of the strangest releases in league history, but he was effective and respected. LaMelo Ball's form isn't traditional either, but his confidence and results make it work. My personal philosophy? If the shot goes in and it's consistent, let the player be. Don't tinker with something that's already effective. Tyrese's form might raise eyebrows, but his efficiency, shot selection, and overall feel for the game silence most of the critics. Back in 2017, the card collecting world started to shift. The focus wasn't just on legends like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant anymore. A new wave of collectors and believers emerged. People were chasing Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox. Tatum was the headliner of that class, and now he's the first true rookie from the post-2017 era to lead his team to a championship. That was significant for collectors like me. It felt like a full-circle moment. I had Tatum rookies before the mainstream hype, before he was a household name. Tyrese didn't arrive with that same level of fanfare, but there was a unique calmness about his game that stood out. He wasn't trying to force anything. He didn't need flash to command respect. He had poise, vision, and a natural leadership quality. That's why, when I pulled his rookie card, a silver hollow, flawless condition, I didn't just store it away. I paused. I took a long look and thought, this kid could be special. And it turned out, he was .by his second year. People around the league were starting to catch on. His court awareness, his ability to control the pace, the creativity with his passing, it all started adding up. For me, that validation wasn't just satisfying, it was personal. I had believed early. I had seen the signs through the prism of collecting. That's the magic of being a collector. You form a bond with players you invest in, not just financially, but emotionally. You remember the first time you saw their name, the first stat line that caught your eye, the rookie card that made you sit up a little straighter. And when that player starts turning heads, you feel like part of the journey. When Tyrese became the face of the Indiana Pacers, it wasn't a shock. It felt right. It felt earned. And to see someone with such an unconventional shooting form make it to that level, it's inspiring. It's a win for everyone who doesn't fit the mold. For every young player with a different-looking game who just knows how to produce. That's what I want this story to be about. Not just the stats or the accolades, but the soul of Tyrese Haliburton's rise. How he found his lane in a league that often demands conformity. How his quiet confidence turned into undeniable leadership. And how, as a collector and lifelong fan of the game, I saw that light in him early, before the all-star nods, before the max contract, before the world caught up. Because in this world of sports, the soul matters. And some players, like Tyrese, have it in abundance. Chapter 2. The beauty in the awkward. Let's talk about that shot. Tyrese Haliburton's jumper is one of the first things people bring up when they talk about him, especially if they're not paying close attention. From a distance, it looks wrong. The release is quick, almost jerky. His shooting motion starts low and comes off like a push. For someone who's never seen it before, it can almost feel like watching someone break a rule of basketball mechanics. But the thing is, the shot works. It always has. That I've never been one to demand perfection in form. I care more about rhythm, confidence, and results. You show me someone who hits big shots with a funky form, and I'll show you someone I trust. More than the smooth-looking shooter who goes 4 for 15 when it matters. Tyrese is the type of player who reminds you that textbook isn't always the truth. He takes me back to guys like Shawn Marion. If you remember, Marion's shot came from his chest, almost like a catapult. But he made it work for an entire NBA career, an all-star career, a championship career. That's the kind of reference point I look at when I see Tyrese. And of course, LaMelo Ball comes to mind too. He's got that quirky release, but he's never lacked confidence. He was pulling up from half court in high school. Some players are built to make it work in spite of the criticism. That's the camp Tyrese belongs to. His form is his form. It's not broken. It's just different. What really separates him, though, isn't just that he can shoot. It's when and how he shoots. He's efficient. His mechanics are consistent, even if they're unconventional. His release is fast enough to get his shot off under pressure, and he doesn't second-guess it. He trusts it. And when a player trusts his shot, the defenders feel that. It changes the energy on the floor. That I remember early in his career, before the all-star recognition, there was still that chatter. He's a good playmaker, but can he be a scorer? Can you build around him? That's the part one kept watching closely. Because I already saw the vision. I wasn't just looking at box scores. I was watching how he moved, how he chose his moments. Tyrese wasn't trying to dominate every play. He let the game breathe. That's a trait you don't see often in young guards, especially in today's fast-paced, stats-driven game. When I watch Tyrese run an offense, I see someone who understands the value of timing. He's not hunting highlights. He's creating rhythm. He knows how to slow the pace when needed, and then explode when the defense relaxes. That's not something you teach in a gym. That's instinct. Tyrese found his flow early. His shot, his tempo, the way he navigates the court, it's all part of his rhythm. It might look awkward to someone trying to diagram it, but it makes perfect sense in motion. I think about all the kids who get discouraged because their form isn't ideal, or because they don't move like the players they see on highlight reels. Tyrese represents a different kind of encouragement. He's proof that if you study the game, understand your strengths, and stay true to your rhythm, you can break through anyway. That's beauty in the awkward. It's why I appreciate his journey. And let's not forget, he didn't come into the league as a top pick. He wasn't the player getting compared to legends before he even dribbled a ball in the NBA. That's part of what makes his rise so impressive. He had to prove himself on the court. He had to earn respect through results. And every time he hit a pull-up three or threw a no-look pass through traffic, he added to that respect. When I pulled one of his rookie cards, I didn't think, here's a guaranteed superstar. What I thought was, here's a player who sees the game differently. And in this era, where the NBA often leans toward flash, that kind of vision stands out even more. The beauty of Tyrese Haliburton isn't just that he gets the job done. It's that he does it his way, without pretending to be anyone else. That's the kind of authenticity that resonates, not just as a basketball fan, but as someone who creates art, someone who values originality over conformity. Why this point? In his career, the awkwardness of his form isn't even a conversation anymore. He's made it irrelevant. The shot goes in, the game slows down for him, and the league has had to adjust. That says everything. Chapter 3. The Sacramento exit *. Some trades in the NBA come and go. Others stop time. I remember exactly where I was when I saw the news. Sacramento had traded Tyrese Haliburton to Indiana. My first reaction wasn't disbelief, it was disappointment. Not because I doubted where he was headed, but because I thought Sacramento had something special and didn't realize it. From a collector's point of view, this was a moment of real tension. When you invest early in a player, when you've sleeved up their rookie cards, followed their game tape, watched their development up close, you feel connected to their journey. So when something big happens, like a trade this early in a career, it hits different. There's no control. You're just a spectator. But the emotional investment is still real, and Tyrese? He had just started settling into Sacramento. He was producing, growing, building chemistry. You could see the leadership emerging. So when they sent him out in that Domantas Sabonis deal, I couldn't help but feel like they gave up on him too early. Chapter 4. The rise in Indiana *. Some players need a change of scenery to unlock their full potential. For Tyrese Haliburton, Indiana didn't just give him space, it gave him ownership. From the moment he arrived in a Pacers jersey, you could tell something shifted. He wasn't just a piece anymore. He was the foundation that I started watching every game differently after the trade. Before, I was following him as a promising rookie. Now, I was watching to see how far he could go when the system was built around him. And it didn't take long before the results spoke for themselves. The first thing I noticed was the pace. Indiana let Tyrese run. He wasn't being asked to defer to a veteran or play off someone else's rhythm. He was the rhythm. The offense moved through him, his vision, his decisions, his tempo. You could see it in the way the ball flowed, how teammates got easier shots, how fast breaks turned into highlight reel moments with no-look passes that somehow always hit the right hands. That kind of trust from a franchise doesn't happen by accident. The Pacers saw what some others didn't. Tyrese doesn't just play the game. He sees it differently. From a collector's standpoint, this was a moment of real payoff. You invest in these players before the hype, before the headlines. So when Tyrese started dropping double-doubles regularly, when his assists climbed near the top of the league, when he got selected as an NBA All-Star, that was the confirmation I had been waiting for. Not just because the card value went up, but because the belief I had in him, early on, was real. But even more than the numbers, it was the leadership that stood out. Tyrese is not loud in the traditional sense, but his presence is strong. You can feel when he's in control of a game. He celebrates his teammates. He stays calm in big moments. He speaks with clarity in interviews. And above all, he plays unselfishly, even when he could easily dominate possessions. There's something rare about that in today's NBA. So many young stars are chasing headlines, viral highlights, or scoring titles. Tyrese plays to win, and he does it by elevating the team around him. It reminded me of what made me fall in love with basketball in the first place. The beauty of team dynamics. The give and go. The perfectly timed assist. The extra pass. The play that doesn't show up on the stat sheet but changes the game. Tyrese lives in that space. And for someone like me, who's been collecting, watching, and studying this game with a creative mindset, that kind of approach hits different. That be why the time the league caught up. By the time analysts started calling him one of the best point guards in the East, it wasn't a surprise to me. It felt like a moment I had already seen coming. I remember watching the Pacers push through close games, clutch situations, and tight possessions. And there was Tyrese, always composed, always 3 steps ahead. You don't fake that kind of control. You earn it through experience, repetition, and trust in your own identity. And for a player with a jump shot that was once seen as a red flag, that makes the rise even more meaningful. You can tell the culture in Indiana started shifting the moment he arrived. There's a belief now. The players feed off his confidence. The coaching staff lets him operate like a quarterback. And the fans? They've embraced him quickly. He's their guy, their future. From my perspective, that matters more than just seeing someone make an all-star team. That's soul. That's belonging. That's a young player stepping into his own and doing it without compromising who he is. The more I watched, the more I thought about how this moment, this rise, was exactly why I started collecting cards. Not just for the chance that someone might be great, but for the chance to witness greatness unfold. To feel connected to a story while it's still being written. Tyrese Haliburton's Indiana chapter is still in progress. He hasn't reached his ceiling yet. But this part of the journey, this breakthrough, has already proven something important. That intelligence, humility, and a high basketball IQ still have a place in the spotlight. That you don't need to scream to lead. And that there's still room in this game for players who do things their own way. Watching it happen in real time, from the lens of both a collector and a lifelong fan of the sport, has been one of the most rewarding things I've experienced in this space. And I get the feeling the best is still ahead.